Hello, 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 legends. How is everybody doing? It is Monday, and instead of our normal meal prep Monday, we've got a essentially one of our food for thought Jeff Eds that's going on today. So challenges kicked off today, and it is day one of various 21-day challenges and 45-day challenges. But one of the real exciting ones is our 21-day Run for the Oceans challenge that is led by the epic coach Saki, and Adidas are on board for it as well. And we are lucky enough to be joined here by Pax from Adidas, affectionately known as Pax. That's just your nickname. Ndiebo Mapakula, that's right. So thanks for joining us, Pax. And we're going to chat through a little bit about kind of the environment and the impact and why Adidas is doing what they're doing and how we can be a little bit mindful in our space and tie that into some nutrition as well. So swipe in, let us know you guys are here, pop some questions or comments into the comments bar and we'll chat to you guys as we go through. I hope everyone's getting their Monday off to a good start. Pax, how has your Monday been? You ready for a good week?
Yes, I'm ready for a good week. I really can't wait for a Run for the Oceans. I saw what's been happening on social media and the feedback that we're getting from people. It's really good to see that each and every year we get more and more people involved and the word keeps spreading out to be better, more, and to be more sustainable and to be cautious of the impact we have in our environment.
And I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head. That's exactly kind of what we want to chat about. And a nice segue for this is about that, looking at sustainability, how we can reduce our impact on the environment, be more mindful in that space. And also you guys are carrying some great leverage for that. So it's fantastic seeing guys in that space having a bit of a role to play. So let us know a little bit about kind of Adidas's background in this. Obviously, Run for the Ocean's been going for a little while. There's been a bit of focus on that and a few things in place. Can you give us a bit of background?
Yes, so Adidas Runners, first of all, is a running community that is based in 64 countries around the world. And just a few years ago, we partnered with Parlay, and basically we wanted to come up with innovative ideas of how to raise awareness about plastic waste and how we can reduce our carbon emissions, especially primarily plastic in the oceans. So we came up with this idea whereby we actually, for Adidas, for example, basically turning plastic waste into shoes, and that's where the collaboration with Adidas came into life. And then from that, we basically used our 64 running communities around the world as a platform to pioneer this initiative and actually inform people that, for example, for each and every kilometer you'd run, Adidas would donate $1 to reducing plastic waste. And that's how it has sort of evolved. And from $1, it became to like incentives, and it became as a kilometer now for every kilometer you run. And it just became a fun way to actually raise awareness and to have more people involved because, for example, running is quite universal. You don't really need much. All you needed was just a running app to track your running, and you would basically do that, share it on your social media, get your friends involved, and it has boomed since we've started.
When did you guys start? How many of these kind of events have you run through? Excuse the pun.
Me personally, this year is actually going to be my third one. But I think we've been going on for 5 years. Parlay has been its own entity for quite some years, and I think the partnership with Adidas started 5 to 6 years ago.
Okay, magic. And the sort of Run for the Oceans, logging your kilometers, that happens sort of the back end of this month. And you guys are involved in sort of cleaning up a little bit as well, collecting some plastic bottles and having an impact that way.
Yes, this coming weekend, we are actually going to have a plugging session in Muizenberg. So if anyone is available, if anyone would like to join, we'll be starting at 7:30, and we'll be running on the beaches of Muizenberg. We'll bring, of course, gloves and plastic waste to actually collect the plastic and stuff. And that in itself is raising awareness. So we'll be running while picking up litter and stuff. And it's just a fun way to incorporate with running as well, while also saving the environment on the other hand.
Yeah, while we're out there, we can do some good, and you guys are leading the way with that. Some shoes that have been made entirely from plastic waste as well. Is that right?
Yes. each shoe is actually made out. Okay, the parlay shoes, that's actually a different kind of shoe. It's not every Adidas shoe, but most of our shoes now that we are actually pushing out, it's either we've got our Prime Green, which is environmentally friendly. So green meaning that it's eco-friendly from the land, and then Prime Blue is eco-friendly from the ocean. So whenever you are buying any Adidas equipment, always look up for those words, Prime Green and Prime Blue. And Parlay specifically is from plastic waste. So the shoe is made out of plastic, and each shoe contains around about 11 recycled plastic bottles from the ocean.
Brilliant. It's nice.
Imagine the amount of shoes we've made over the years from these plastic shoes. So when buying the shoes, it's no more of just buying another running shoe. It's actually playing a part as well in saving the environment.
And yeah, reducing our waste. And there's one way is by cleaning it up, and the other is, I think, also doing our part and trying to minimize how we add to that waste. And I think one aspect that speaks to is what we eat and drink every day. And I think where we can chat through now is looking at how we can do our bits. You've spoken to that in terms of cleaning up, how we can get involved with initiatives this weekend in Muizenberg, for example, Epic, but also taking it a step back from where it comes from. And we know when we're training, we've got to be putting in the hard yards in the kitchen. We're watching what we eat. We're following some good nutritional foundations. But being mindful with it also means we can kind of reduce our impact on that a little bit. What are your skills in the kitchen like, Pat?
Sorry, what am I?
Your skills in the kitchen. Pretty good?
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm good. Yeah, I'd like to say I'm good.
I mean,
to add on to that, it's quite interesting what you were saying, like, because a lot of people think, like, when it comes to saving plastic and trying to save the oceans and the environment, it's quite broad. Like, as you mentioned, it can even start from what you're eating in the kitchen, and it's not always going to pick up the litter because that's the end goal, but there's a whole lot more stuff that you can do before that.
Totally. There were a couple of things that I thought were quite interesting. That's just to put to the guys who are watching here today. But just starting off with one fact that I think drives a lot of this home is that before we even get to the plastic and the packaging, and we're looking at what we're eating and how we consume it, a third of everything that is produced actually goes to waste. So food that is manufactured or prepared in a restaurant, or even that we're making at home, 30% of that is going into the bin or a landfill or something. So it's a huge percentage, and I think a lot we can do just in the kitchen to try and help improve that. And one of the points on that is looking at ways that we can plan better. So if you're with us on the Run for the Ocean Challenge, you've got an eating plan, and part of having a plan is, how do I use my ingredients? How can I shop better, prep better, so that I don't just have all sorts of things going on in the kitchen and I'm wasting and I'm throwing things out all the time. We can be a little bit smarter with that. We can meal prep. We've got our Monday sessions where we do that. We're trying to show guys there's different ways of doing that. And the pipelines, a couple of things, and if anyone's doing it at home, composting, nice way to make up or make use of leftovers or scraps. And quite an interesting couple segments that we've got coming up as well, how you can convert scraps into food or into flavors. So offcuts that become a soup, or use the little leaves and frills of things to get extra flavor and texture. And there are a lot of parts of plants that we can actually eat that we don't always think about. So there's some things in the sort of kitchen space that we can do around here to try and reduce that waste, but we've got to be aware of it. So have a bit of a plan, think about what you're doing. And obviously, if you're on the 21-day challenge, that's part of what we sort of doing in that area. In the shops, obviously, before we get there, before we get into the kitchen, we spend a bit of time in the shops. So having that plan means it's something that you can stick to. Keep it simple, keep your ingredients limited, so you don't have a fridge that's just full of things and you don't really know what to make use of, and it's going to help you reduce some of your waste. Bulk shopping or online shopping, buy everything. It comes in one package then. And if you get the bigger packet of anything, it's one packet and more things, so that you can rather freeze it or portion it out, or use it a little bit better that way in some containers at home. But you can shop in bulk, shop online, get it done, and you're also not then just purchasing kind of anything. There's no impulse buying. Bags and containers, obviously one of the things, and maybe a good thing to segue into what you guys have found cleaning up the beaches, but I'm sure plastic bags, containers, and the next slide I'll talk a little bit to bottles as well. But what kinds of things are you guys seeing on the beaches when you clean them up? That's
everything from your smallest straw bottles, your smallest bottle caps, to like big plastics and your boxes from brands I can't mention, but you'll find it's such a small thing to do, but it causes such a big impact when you go to the beach with friends just to enjoy, to have a good time. It's so easy to just leave the straw behind, but that straw is going to ruin quite a lot of biodiversity in the ocean. So it's very broad, from plastics to straws to bottles to cans, bottle cans. You'll find everything. You'll find. I'm sure you've gone plugging before. Like, you find a lot of interesting stuff in the ocean. Yeah, I mean in the sea.
And I mean, the sad thing is that all the end product of consumption, and so they are all there purposely, because somebody has just thrown it away. So they haven't paid a bit of attention, haven't made the effort to throw it away, or before that they haven't maybe looked at a way to not have it when they're going down to the beach, or however it ends up there originally. Having a better concept of what our food comes in is going to make a little bit of difference around that. In the shops as well, when we look at sustainability, I obviously can't talk about it out of the space of produce. I'm not going to go into too much detail. We've done a couple of eds on sort of organic foods and the ins and outs of that, and how that might or might not impact sustainability. And there are all sorts of documentaries that also might light the fire of conversation a little bit, but we've always got to be quite careful in how we interpret them. But locally, and speaking to the seas and the oceans, one way is making sure the seafood that we're buying is on SASSI's green list for sustainability. So not only are we worried about what we're doing and what we're putting into the ocean, but also what we're pulling out of it. So being aware of that space that we play in, good sustainable seafood choices. So not only looking after the environment that the ocean is, but trying to make the most out of that way. So shopping wisely is something for us all. So that the plastic is to.
I think you just keep breaking up a bit.
Maybe just for you, just let me know if anyone else's breaks up. I don't know if it might just be your feed.
Okay, I think now you can.
Cool. I think a commitment to reducing bottled water is one of the easy ways. Something you guys try and drive home as well at Adidas Runners, trying to limit intake through bottled water.
Yes. We always advise people bringing actually their own bottled water, not always throwing bottled water. I mean plastic bottled water. So we always have, like, we even give them, even for our incentives, when people run in Adidas Runners, we'll give either your glass bottles or your metal bottles, like aluminium bottles, and it's something that you can reuse. It's branded, it looks cool, it's funky, and it's something that you actually find carrying around, so that, because you want people to know that you run with Adidas and stuff like that. So
yeah. And it's the easy thing to do. It's cheaper as well. You just get some tap water. It's going to save you a lot of bucks down the line. And we can make it better that way by reducing our impact. On our 21-day challenge, people were making a commitment to something. You might have chosen yours as limiting bottled water over the next 3 weeks, which is fantastic. So make your own drinks, flavor your own water, get that in there, but you can limit bottled water that way. The second aspect, apart from just the environmental impact, and one that might be sort of self-motivating, is the health impact. If we're choosing things that aren't in plastic, the chances are they're going to be less processed. They're going to be whole foods, they're going to be fresher, because they haven't had to stick it in plastic to try and get to last as long for us. So if you're getting out of plastic, the chances are your food choices are just going to improve by doing that. So you might not be focusing on the food choices as much, but a byproduct of it is that what you're going to be putting into your body is possibly going to be a little bit better for you. So a good sort of upside to that. Right. Then on the road, we've touched on the first one, sort of carrying your own. So taking your own water bottle, whatever the case is, filling it up, making sure it's the same reusable option. Something that often irks me, either in a race or training, or I spend a lot of time on the mountain with trail running, but tossing wrappers from whatever food or fueling options that you're using, the gel wrappers there, or whatever sweets that you took, or any type of fuel that someone's just left that out there. I don't know if you guys see that much, Pax. You give any advice around better options instead of chucking it on the side of the road, or better fueling carrying systems? Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we definitely, especially for road running, like even though we try as much as we can to have like those litter boxes, you'll always still find people like just throwing papers even way further away than the station, like our like cheer stations with the waters and stuff. I think the best way to do this is also even that with carrying bottles as well. Like just carry a bottle for yourself, because during a long run or trail run you are going to need water. So it's best to prepare for that and carry something that you're going to put back in your bag, or even put in your pocket while you're running. There's fanny packs that are super light and super customized for actually running. There's backpacks as well that you can. So there are sort of implementations that are set in place to actually for people to actually reduce their waste. It's just that maybe people don't really realize how much more they can actually play their part in saving the environment, because it's very easy. It's something you just like gels, for example. I see it a lot because I also go up the mountain. I'm quite close. You just see a whole lot of gel wrappers, and it's something that you can easily squash and put in your pocket. But that goes a long way, that plastic. So it's just that thing of even raising awareness once again, and trying as much as possible to be cognizant of what we're doing when we're out in nature.
So, following on from that, the mindful fueling side of it, how important is nutrition for runners? Obviously, you with these guys every day. We both dealing with them. What are some of the sort of take home messages of, yes, you want to do it properly and mindfully, but how important actually is it?
Oh, it's very important. I think anyone will tell you they need. It's basically like fuel for a car. You need to fuel your body as well, but in fueling your body as well, you need the right fuel. So I'm also on a plant-based diet now. I'm not advocating or trying to tell everyone to be vegan or vegetarian, but I've seen that by being plant-based, I'm actually playing a role as well and an impact in reducing the carbon waste, because I try as much as possible to eat fruits and vegetables that are in season, which also helps with agriculture. I try to eat less GMO crops, and I try, because as well with veggies, I don't have to eat a lot of veggies. Not they're not really processed, so that means less carbon emissions for me as well. And I fuel myself, and I really feel full and fulfilled when I eat my salads for lunch. So it's really important to fuel yourself. And yeah, I'd say what I've decided personally, going on a plant-based diet and doing my own research of the benefits that comes with that, in terms of agriculture and pollution, I've realized I'm actually playing a role as well in that aspect.
And I think that's one of the motivations to people going on a plant-based diet quite often is the impact of environment. So it might be ethical, it might just be preference, but the environmental aspect is one of them. And when we're exercising a lot, sometimes we get a little bit confused in what we should or shouldn't be doing. But we can be as successful at any level of performance on a plant-based diet. Sometimes it just takes a little bit more planning. So what are some of the things that you've learned on the journey for yourself?
Personally, like you really need to experience it, because I was actually training for a race called the TSP, which is the Speed Project, and we're gonna run from California to Las Vegas within 31 hours. And this is yeah, it's 560 kilometers, and we're planning to do it in 31 hours straight. And I can tell you right now, I felt the difference when I shifted from just eating healthy, getting my proteins, and going on plant-based diet, because it took me less time to process food. I'd eat way more in portions, and I'd still feel light and not exhausted or just down and feel heavy after, maybe if I was loading on a whole lot of carbs and high protein of red meat and stuff like that. Like, I really felt that energy release, because I need to practice but another training thing that I was doing was to sleep less. So trying to get that sleep deprivation in. I'd sleep in for 3 hours, and then I'd wake up, go run, sleep for 3 hours, wake up, go run. And each and every time I also had to eat something. So having my light salads, which I pack and prepare, made it so much easier. And maybe even smoothies. That's another thing, like, which I really started liking from last year, and just blending stuff and freezing that and just taking it and chucking that in the morning. It has made my life so much easier and way more healthier, and you can even see the results. I'd like to think I was at the peak of my performance last year when I was training, because everything was just so prepared and planned. I think once you start planning your diet accordingly, it's so much easier, and it's actually good. Like, people always say, like, veggie foods are not as tasteful, but once you actually do the research and know what you can eat, and yeah, it's if you just eat salads and stuff, it's not going to be nice, but there's so much more you can do with green foods and stuff like that.
Totally. There's always more to it. And I think someone thinks plant-based and they think, well, I'm going to live on salads and vegetables. But I think hopefully those of the viewers experiencing our meal plans will see how we try to make it exciting. How even on our standard menus with people who aren't necessarily plant-based, how we still have a couple times a week, and I think it's something we should all be doing, having a plant-based meal that replaces something. It reduces our impact. It gives us better balance to the diet. There's all sorts of nutrition that comes with it. I think going one way or the other without trying, you might be falling short with something. So, like you said, trial and error, because some people just respond really well to it, and I think that's maybe a good example for you. We can be having a good impact on our environment by it. Quite often, it's less packaging. If we're choosing more plant-based options, which was great. And I think out of most of the diets, that the one thing that kind of carries through between any successful diet is one that's got a good amount of plants in it. So whether you supplement it with a little bit of animal protein or vegetable protein or whatever it is, it needs to be founded with plants. But that also means trying to limit waste. Do you have any tips in terms of things if you've got more veg in the house, how you use it all up?
Yeah, like you said, I also have a mini garden that I have. So sometimes when I'm peeling my veggies, I just chop them up and I'll put them in the soil just for my plants and stuff like that. And because like you said, most of that, a third of that will end up in the fill and stuff like that. And for my fruits, like if I'm not having a salad, then I'll most probably blend it the next day. So I'd say those are my few tips. And it's all about planning, because it's a lot of work, because now you legit have to prepare almost each and every time. But if you meal prep and if you freeze your veggies, which is quite easy, because I can freeze my spinach, and then when I want to blend it, it's already cold and it's frozen, so it's still gonna be cold. I'd say it's very easy than actually prepping your dietary
and once you're in the routine of it, it all becomes a little bit easier. You get used to it. So these things become kind of second nature. So making use of some leftovers, freezing some options. So you've always got it on hand, and then it just becomes a little bit easier to stick with. So a couple of comments coming in, sort of soups going into winter now. Any veg that we've got will pretty much go into a soup. And you can make a nice broth out of it. You can make a good soup out of it. So any waste, if it's the little roots and bits and pieces, get it in there, boil it up. You can always drain it off, and then you'll have a nice flavorful soup for winter. Lots of people sort of talking to. So Judy's pledge is to recycle more, which is great. So signed up for the challenge, obviously, and that was her pledge. So recycling something that just makes it so much easier. I remember we started recycling, and our big weekly bin became a much smaller one because so much of what we were using ended up being recycling. And it reminds you sort of what you're doing, and it starts changing your behavior a little bit. So separating things and seeing where your impact is allows you to make some change. Few people look like they're going to be joining in for the beach cleanups, which is great. There's one in Cape Town beach cleanup on the 23rd as well. So we're doing another one 2 weekends time, which is great. And you guys, you said you were in Muizenberg this weekend.
Yes, we're in Muizenberg.
Okay, magic. Just let us know that time. Guys, just going to bring some gloves and masks, obviously, and keep safe. But what time are you guys going to get together?
7:30.
Okay,
7:30.
great.
So if you follow Adidas Runners Cape Town as well, we'll be posting everything there. But we'll definitely share all those details with you as well.
Okay, magic. So, guys, I think the whole purpose of kind of this introduction, we've got a few more EBS over the next couple of weeks lined up on the mindful and sustainable and environmental impact that we're having. But this just wants you to start thinking about it. Nutrition is where it starts because that's where our impact comes from. So we can make good choices, both in the kitchen, when we're shopping, and then we can help on the other end of it and help go and do a bit of cleanup. So this weekend, at Muizenberg Beach. Next weekend, go have a look in the community fitness feature in our app, and you can go see the details for next weekend's beach cleanup. But let's do what we can over the next 21 days, and hopefully 21 days is the start to building some new habits, and those habits will include what you're doing for yourself and the decisions and choices you're making, and how you may be able to impact the environment, reduce your footstep, and have sort of walk a little lighter, if you put it that way. Pax, thanks very much for joining us. I'm sure we might see a bit more of you over the next couple weeks. We'll get you in and chat a little bit more about run-specific nutrition as well. I think we can do some fun space. Maybe we'll have to get you in the kitchen even and see how that goes.
Oh, cool. I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for everyone who joined the session today, the talk. Hope you guys are doing your bit and making the world a better place. Can't wait to see you guys. Cheers.
Your bit for the environment is, I think, what you were going to say before you broke up. I don't know if that was you or me. But guys, enjoy the rest of your Monday. I hope you got off to a good start. Day one of the challenges. Go hard. Remember, go log your sessions. Get stuck into your accountability groups. If you're on any of the challenges, but if you're on the Run for the Oceans challenge, let us know what you are committing to and show us your journey over the next 21 days. The changes that you've made, maybe the plastic that you've got rid of, what you've helped to clean up, maybe one or two things that you're doing at home or in the shops that's a little bit different, so that you're reducing your footprint. So it's day one, 20 days to go, lots of opportunity to get things done, and we look forward to seeing your journey in all of that. All right, guys, enjoy your Monday. Pax, have a fabulous week. We'll catch up with you guys later. Until next time, guys. Cheers for now.